Weaved throughout every culture worldwide, supernatural beings have been a massive part of mythology, folklore, and ancient stories. Over time, these mystical beings have successfully transcended into pop culture references by proving their influence on the world's literary culture. For example, the majestic Pegasus of Greek mythology, the dragons of East Asia, the monstrous Kraken from Norse beliefs, and modern cryptids like Bigfoot have been famous for their unique stories filled with quests, fights, and fairy tales. In this video, we're going to take a tour from ancient Greek mythology to Mesopotamian culture to tell you some of the stories of the most popular monstrous creatures from around the world. So close your eyes and let us take you into a world of whimsy and wonder to meet the monsters. But before we get too far into that, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The Kraken. Imagine you're on a cruise to enjoy the tranquility of the ocean and the giant tentacles of an octopus in the middle of the sea attack you. What would you do? Well, there's nothing you can do to save yourself from this creature besides praying, because this humongous monster from the folklore of ancient Norwegian myth can devour an entire ship if anyone or anything dares wake him up from his peaceful hibernation. The folklore around the creature known as the Kraken can be traced back to 13th century Europe, where a group of fishermen found a colossal squid about 40 feet long and coined a story about it as a devastating sea monster roaming the coast of Norway and Greenland that spares no one if disturbed. The story became widespread among the country's people, who started believing in the Kraken, who supposedly could drown huge ships with a thump from its tentacles. Famous works like Alfred Tennyson's poem The Kraken in 1830 and Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in 1870 later immortalized the legend of the Kraken with their artistic command over literature. Even centuries after its origin, the legend of the Kraken is still one of the most significant selling points in blockbuster movies like Pirates of the Caribbean and Clash of the Titans. This proves that fear of the Kraken still runs deep inside people, as it did centuries ago. Dragons. Dragons are the most influential fantasy creatures on the planet. They're not just considered powerful beings for their gigantic body mass, enormous wings, and unmatched fire-breathing skills, they're also admired as gods in many cultures worldwide. In China, these mythical beings are worshipped and considered symbols of strength, prosperity, and generosity, whereas it's almost the opposite in the western part of the world. In European culture, these fearsome creatures are portrayed as villains, filled with anger, repression, and terror that can lead to the end of humanity. Known for their vast array of powers and magical and supernatural abilities, dragons have been featured in multiple books as fan-favorite characters, for example in Tolkien's The Hobbit and George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. The dragons in these books became famous in their respective film and TV series for their brilliant portrayals. These impressive creatures aren't just mythical beings popularized by literary geniuses in the fantasy genre. Due to their cultural importance, they have also significantly influenced world history, politics, and even the economy. Jormungandr. Known as the middle child of the god of mischief Loki and the arch-enemy of the thunder god Thor, Jormungandr is another mythical creature from Norse mythology on our list. Jormund, which translates into a huge thing or supernatural being, is one of the prime players in Ragnarok, or the Norse end of the world. This mystical animal originated during the rule of Odin, the king of the gods, when Loki, his adopted son, and the giantess Acra Buu gave birth to 3 creatures. Anchored by Jormungandr's snake-like body, Odin threw it into the ocean, where it grew into a gigantic serpent that guarded Midgard, or the Earth, by biting its tail in its mouth to surround the entire globe. This image became known as an Ouroboros, and it was a philosophical depiction of the endless circle of life. Jormungandr is also an integral part of the prophecy of Ragnarok that warns Jormungandr will release the tail from its mouth and commence in the world's destruction. Even though this creature is a prominent character in Norse mythology, its influence can also be seen in Scandinavian tales. Most of its tales are centered around Thor and their rivalry from the beginning of the world. In one instance, Jormungandr even tried to kill Thor by blowing throwing gallons of poison all over him. However, the god of thunder survived his death and later took revenge during Ragnarok by killing the beast with his mighty Mjolnir. In the 20th century, Jormungandr has been featured in various forms of media, from Marvel Comics to video games like God of War. The serpent's endless loop around the earth also influences modern art, symbolizing eternity and the balance between creation and destruction. Werewolf. The most famous mythical creature to influence pop culture, film, TV, literature, and art is none other than the werewolf. A popular folklore in European culture, the origin of these fearsome creatures dates back to the ancient Greek and Roman empires, where tales of men transforming into wolves were linked to curses as a punishment for their sins. According to popular tales, when a werewolf bites a human, they inherit the powers of the wolf, and they can transform themselves into a formidable wolf during a full moon. In Greek mythology, however, there's a story featuring King Lycaon, who was turned into a wolf by Zeus as punishment for his wickedness, giving rise to the term lycanthropy. Werewolves generally have the traits of ordinary wolves, including their superior sense of smell and savage nature. Still, being supernatural creatures, they also possess incredible strength and agility, making them a formidable foe for their enemies. Though their powers are usually shown as triggered by the full moon, some stories feature them turning into werewolves of their own free will. Since their inception, these mystical beasts have been a popular subject in literature, artwork, and folklore, and have influenced modern pop culture extensively. Films like The Wolfman in 1941, An American Werewolf in London in 1981, and Twilight from 2008 to 2012, as well as the TV show Teen Wolf, popularized them into pop culture icons and even sex symbols. Woof woof. Vampires. After werewolves, vampires are certainly the most influential beings to be featured in the horror genre. Known for their undying thirst for blood, you would never want to cross paths with this terrifying group of creatures. Even though modern artistic and literary fiction has extensively featured Count Dracula as the epitome of vampiriness, the origin of this myth has been around since the beginning of human civilization. In ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia and Greece, the tale of blood-sucking demons first originated as cautionary tales for the people. However, the popularity of vampires only saw daylight during the 17th and 18th centuries, when the tales started circulating extensively in modern Europe. Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1897 also became a popular reason, which solidified the existence of this legendary figure by generating quite an amount of fear in people's hearts. What makes a vampire so scary is their superhuman strength, immortality, hypnotic gaze, and of course their weird powers, which often includes turning into an actual bat at will. It's also speculated that if you survive the bite of a vampire, you inherit all of its traits and are turned into a vampire yourself. Unlike other creatures, vampires have weaknesses that can help you save yourself from their attack. As a nocturnal creature, vampires are said to be highly allergic to sunlight, holy symbols, and even garlic. They're also said to be very calm, poised, and aristocratic in public, which is a facade to their true savage nature. With their massive popularity, vampires are considered sex symbols in pop culture. Films like Twilight, Blade, and Underworld have influenced horror fans and culture, raising billions of dollars at the box office and setting new heights of success by featuring vampires as their leads. Medusa. Medusa the Gorgon is a rather sad story of a young woman who, due to her lustrous beauty, was turned into a monstrous creature by the god she once worshipped. According to the myth, Medusa was a fair maiden who acted as one of the priestesses of the god Athena. Due to her radiant beauty, everyone, including the god of the sea Poseidon, was extremely attracted to her. When the goddess Athena learned about her affairs with Poseidon, she cursed her to live as a monster for eternity. Due to the curse, her hair was turned into writhing snakes, and a simple gaze into her eyes would turn anyone into stone. Even though Medusa's curse was supposed to be a punishment for breaking her vows with Poseidon, it also acted as a defense mechanism, symbolizing the consequences of male aggression and vengeance. Even though a lot of powerful men tried to bring her down, her story ended at the hands of the hero Perseus, who, with the help of divine weapons, beheaded her with trickery. Even after her death, the mighty snakehead remained as powerful as when she was alive. Over time, the story of Medusa has been considered less of a horror story, but rather a symbol of terror, suppression, female rage, and even empowerment. Having such a beautiful story to her name, Medusa has been featured as the famous iconography of Versace and has become a fashion icon. Her story has also inspired multiple films, books, and a whole bunch of art. The The Phoenix. In the 21st century, the most accurate interpretation of this mighty bird can be seen in the Harry Potter film series, which showcased its primary attributes and powers in a magical world. According to legend, it's an immortal figure that has the magical ability to rise from its ashes. A symbol of inspiration, hope, and triumph of life over death, the Phoenix has solidified its presence in most world cultures. Known for its fiery red, gold, and purple hues, this magical bird possesses a melodious voice that can heal pain. It's also believed that a drop of its tears can heal any injury within a few seconds, giving it the power to save lives. Often depicted as an aid to the story's protagonist, the Phoenix is a hero that people tend to love for its heart of gold. In Harry Potter, Fawkes, owned by Dumbledore, acts as a symbol of loyalty, which helps the protagonist fulfill his hero's journey. It has also influenced art, literature, and brands immensely. It's inspired characters and people to rise from adversity, like the legendary bird rising from its ashes. The Basilisk. Another ancient creature that found popularity among modern readers is the Basilisk. Known as the King of Serpents, this snake existed centuries before J.K. Rowling featured it in the Chamber of Secrets as an aid to the antagonist Voldemort. In ancient Greek and Roman lore, the snake was described as a fearsome beast with powers so deadly that a single glance, breath, or touch was enough to kill any other being on the planet. Classically, it was portrayed as an infant born from a serpent's egg that was incubated by a rooster, making it half rooster. It's often portrayed with a chicken's feet, head, and even wings. This massive snake has been featured in countless medieval stories as a symbol of sin, evil, and corrupted animals. In one famous tale, a basilisk terrorized a town until a clever hero showed up with a mirror to trick the creature into seeing its deadly gaze, destroying itself in the process. Sounds kinda similar to Medusa's story, doesn't it? After being featured in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the serpent generated much fear and fascination for this lethal beauty and found popularity all over again among modern audiences.
This is becoming unacceptable!
The Minotaur. Greek mythology is filled with weird stories, supernatural characters, and vicious villains, and one such crazy character is the Minotaur. Often depicted as part man and part bull, this bizarre creature possessed the head and tail of a bull and the body of a man. Born out of bestiality, the Minotaur was the son of Queen Pasiphae and a bull given to her husband by the sea god Poseidon as a gift of good fortune. After witnessing the birth of this strange creature, the enraged king constructed a giant labyrinth to imprison the Minotaur. The king also chose 14 young men and women as a ritualistic sacrifice to this strange creature until Theseus, a brave young hero, fought and killed the Minotaur and saved their lives for good. Even though the Minotaur was known for its immense strength, ferocity, and nigh invulnerability within its labyrinth, it lacked intelligence, which a clever Theseus noticed early on during their fight and killed him with his trickery. Like many other supernatural tales from ancient Greece, the Minotaur has been a fan favorite featured in modern stories, films, and TV shows. For example, the 2006 movie Minotaur extensively featured this beast as a dangerous animal living inside an underground labyrinth. The character was also a part of American horror story Coven, where the creature was brought to life using voodoo magic to avenge the death of many innocent lives. Sirens. When the stories about sirens first originated in Greek mythology, they were described as women with the body of a bird. Over time, the character has evolved into a more mermaid-like persona with an enchanting voice that can lure sailors into the ocean. As the characters saw a drastic change in appearance, the tales around them also changed, from a group of psychopomps guiding souls to the afterlife to dangerous temptresses of the sea. These creatures' beautiful appearance and sublime beauty symbolized nature's deadly allure. The first literary example of this cunning beauty is in Homer's Odyssey, where the protagonist Odysseus tries his best to resist the call of the sirens by tying himself to the mast of his ship on his incredible journey back home after the Trojan War. In the 21st century, the presence of sirens has been featured in numerous movies such as The Little Mermaid, Sirens, Cabin in the Woods, and most recently, Wednesday. Along with these creatures have also inspired characters in video games, music, and fashion to embody the mystery around them. Bigfoot. In the dense forests of North America, the presence of an unknown supernatural force has been going strong for centuries. Towering over 7 feet tall, with dark shaggy fur on its body and giant footprints, which is where it got its name, the story of this being seems somewhat mythical rather than supernatural. Even though there aren't any sources that verify the origin of this story, the first reported sighting of this creature can be traced back to the indigenous tribes who roamed in the forest before the arrival of Europeans. But the stories of this unknown giant rose again began in the late 20th century, which popularized this mysterious creature among people. Surrounded by speculation, mystery, and fear, Bigfoot has found a place in pop culture as a prime source of scary figures in American culture. People's keen interest in the subject has also helped multiple studios produce numerous films, shows, and documentaries as a cash grab from the audience. Interestingly, even after numerous searches and investigations of the sightings, the search teams have found no positive evidence of this mysterious creature. So, if you see a giant lurking in the dark next time you're in the forest, make sure you gather some proof to show the world.
He fought with the Neon Hydra.
The Hydra. In ancient Greece, Lerna was considered the gateway to hell, and the powerful Hydra was the dangerous being that guarded that gate. The offspring of powerful poisonous serpentines Typhon and Echidna, Hydra grew more robust as they grew into adults. Today, they're considered a symbol for humanity's never-ending vices. Classically, however, the Hydra possessed 9 fearsome heads on its body. According to ancient authors' folklore and famous literary works like Hesiod's Theogony, Hydra possessed 9 poisonous heads that multiplied themselves when attacked. This bizarre circumstance made it really difficult for warriors to defeat this monstrous creature. But the death of this monster was predetermined by none other than the gods themselves, because when Hercules was given the task to complete his 12 labors, he slayed the Hydra with the weapons given to him by the gods. However, killing this multi-headed serpent was no easy task, so Hercules used the help of his nephew Iolaus to slay the remaining heads without giving them a chance to multiply. Due to its overwhelming popularity in ancient times, a constellation was named after the Hydra. In Marvel Comics, the terrorist organization known as Hydra is associated with the Nazi powers, popularized the monster by taking inspiration from its undying characteristics, and it also acts as an inspiring tale of heroes facing tremendous danger to conquer the beast. The Lochness Monster. Strange creatures from different world mythologies have been famous for thousands of years, but nobody really claims to have seen them with their naked eye. However, unlike most Greek and Roman monsters on our list, this creature originated in the Loch Ness Lake of the Scottish Highlands, where many people have claimed to have seen a mysterious being in the water. Some have even released photographs of this water monster to aid their claims of sightings. However, after a lengthy verification, the pictures turned out to be hoaxes trying to sensationalize the people. As per the claims, this vast water monster is said to have a substantial dinosaur-like body and a long neck that makes him similar to other water monsters like kelpies, a shape-shifting spirit, and water horses. Even though there's no possible explanation for the claims, local scientists believe that, according to local legend, the animal resembles the prehistoric plesiosaur. The movie Water Horse, directed by Jay Russell, tells a story of a similar creature that befriends a local kid during a war. Even though the existence of this relatively peaceful creature is considered a pseudoscience and fraud, it's still a mystery that's yet to be fully explored. Chimera. A strong contender for weirdest monster of all time, this creature is a combination of prey and predator. The Chimera is another mystical creature from Greek mythology that combines a lion, a goat, and a poisonous snake as the tail. Even though some scholars believe it to have the wings of a great dragon, the iconography of this majestic animal mainly depicts the 3 original animals. A sibling of other monstrous creatures like the Hydra and Cerberus, the Chimera also possesses some crazy powers. Its blazing breath of power can burn down anything that tries to mess with it for any reason. In Homer's Iliad, the story of a noble warrior killing the Chimera is considered one of the most prominent plot points in the poem. The poem depicts a young Bellerophon going on a quest at the order of King Lycia to hunt the feared creature, but after failing to kill the animal initially, the young warrior asked for help from the mighty gods. Impressed with the bravery of Bellerophon, the gods provided him with Pegasus, the winged horse, who was born from the blood of Medusa, the serpent priestess. Featured prominently in ancient Greek art, paintings, and pottery, the story of this creature has evolved into a well-known myth. The blazing popularity of the animal has landed it in shows like Ben 10, The X-Files, and even Teen Wolf. It's also been referred to in blockbuster movies like the Mission Impossible film series, Wrath of the Titans, and Kung Fu Panda 4. Mermaids. Mermaids. This creature has a conflicted history throughout the world. The perception of mermaids differs greatly between Western and Eastern culture. At the same time, Western literature and beliefs depict them as beautiful maidens of the sea with pale skin, long gorgeous hair, alluring voices, and a fishtail. Eastern cultures, however, depict them as beautiful femme fatales who lure men into the water to kill them. Though most popular folklore depict them as frequent lovers of men and friendly creatures to humans, some also portray them as cruel and associate them with perilous events such as floods, storms, drownings, and shipwrecks. Even though mermaids are generally associated with females, few stories depict mermen or male mermaids, hinting at their coexistence under the ocean. Even though there's no history of these beautiful creatures, they're believed to be the successors of the Greek mythological characters Sirens. Countless stories, poems, and novels exist related to these mythical beings and their mysterious underwater lives. The popularity of mermaids even made Christopher Columbus claim their existence during his exploration of the Caribbean in 1492. Since then, every mermaid sighting that's been reported to this date is believed to be a hoax. Popular films and TV series like The Little Mermaid, Pirates of the Caribbean, Lady in Water, The Mermaid, and also the Harry Potter series have further popularized the folklore in mainstream media, making these monsters box office successes. The Griffin. Unlike other beasts, the mighty Griffin was known to be a noble guard of precious jewels and stones from corrupted humans. The initial record of this majestic animal can be seen in the writings of 7th century BC scholar Aristeas, who described it as a massive creature with the body of a lion and the head of a mighty eagle. Though he never mentions it to have wings, some later descriptions of this mythological creature portray it with substantial eagle wings. Mostly known for being strong, brave, and noble creatures, griffins have been a symbol of goodwill, divine power, and nobility worldwide. Due to the combination of two of the deadliest predators in the animal kingdom, the griffin was capable of taking down the fiercest of foes, and due to its majestic wings, it was capable of flying through the realms of gods and men to act as a divine messenger. In the Harry Potter books and the prequel film series Fantastic Beasts, griffins are featured extensively and were essential in the fight against the legendary villain Gellert Grindelwald. Griffins also featured prominently in the Chronicles of Narnia, The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, and Family Guy, if you think about it, solidifying its presence in popular culture. The griffin has also been a famous symbol for architecture, logos, brands, and royal imagery due to its appeal as a symbol of goodwill. Golems! The only creature on this list that acts as a political statement rather than an actual creature is the Jewish mythological monster, the Golem. Made out of clay and sacred words inscribed on its head, the most famous golem was supposedly created by a rabbi in the capital of Prague, Judah Low. According to Hebrew beliefs, to make a golem, the creator has to bring the soil from a riverside and shape it into the golem. Then, the creature places a shem, a slip of paper with magical names, in its mouth to breathe life into its clay figure. Often associated with blood magic and sorcery, a golem's power lies in its shape and size. It's usually depicted as a guardian angel against oppression and harassment for the Jewish community, and this figure often acts as a protector for that community rather than a destroyer. However, the lack of free will and uncontrollability can cause devastating consequences for its master. Looking back at the terrible history of Jewish oppression, this figure acts as hope against war, isolation, and anguish. Even though the golem is most commonly depicted as a clay figurine, it can also be made out of iron, wood, or stone as per the creator's wishes. Since its creation, the golem has inspired countless stories, myths, and tales, even inspiring Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, cementing it as a pop culture phenomenon for all time. Acra Buu. In the Mesopotamian myth Enuma Elish, or its Babylonian counterpart, the Epic of Gilgamesh, a giant part human, part beast has been portrayed as a creation of the goddess Tiamat. Similar to the centaurs of Greek and Roman myth, these creatures are touted as having a half-humanoid body above the waist and a scorpion body down below. They're also portrayed as gigantic figures as tall and as high as the sky. Known for their skills in warfare and opinionated behavior, these creatures are considered very dutiful and proud. Their fierce warfare and patriot skills distinguish them from other mystical creatures on our list. The origin story of these great warriors dates back to the guards of the sun god Shamash at the mountain of Mashu, where they used to hold the gates of the heavenly door for the god to rise and set every day. Even though they are comparatively similar to Greek centaurs, they were highly respected in Mesopotamian civilization for their great physical strength and work ethic. In today's world, the Acra Buu, or scorpion men, have been depicted as more of a negative figure in most comic books, films, and literature, in contrast to their original personalities. Scorpion men have appeared in DC Comics as Scorpio, and in the 2002 epic fantasy, the Scorpion King. The Nemean Lion. Covered in golden fur and with claws sharper than any mortal weapon, the Nemean lion was a majestic monster in Greek and Roman mythology. Born from the union of Orthus, the two-headed dog, and Chimera, or possibly Echidna, a monstrous serpent, the mighty monster was raised by the goddess Hera at Mount Olympus, the abode of the gods. After gaining its full power, the goddess Hera sent it to terrorize the hills of Nemea. Due to its lineage of powerful yet dangerous creatures, it soon became a terrifying monster among men. During his quest, Hercules was tasked with killing the beast as one of his 12 labors. When Hercules reached the mountaintop, he started aiming at the lion with his mortal arrows, unbeknownst to the fact that the golden fur of the lion was impenetrable. After realizing the truth, Hercules used his cunning to strangle the lion and kill it with his bare hands. Hercules' win against the Nemean lion has been a widespread subject of art, literature, and iconography. Even today, the Nemean lion stands as a reminder that no obstacle is truly unbeatable if you have the heart of a hero. Ogres. These man-eating monstrous figures of fairy tale and legend have been popularized by many epic books and movies. Despised for their enormous, hideous figures, inhumanly large heads, and insatiable appetites, these monstrous figures have been considered a fan favorite among fantasy fans for years. In fairy tales like Jack the Giant Killer, The Pilgrim's Progress, Beauty and the Beast, The Epic of Gilgamesh, The Odyssey, and Sinbad the Sailor, ogres played an important role in popularizing these stories among the masses. Even though these creatures are often portrayed as attacking kids and associated with cannibalism, they're not always pure evil. In some stories, they're known to possess supernatural powers like shapeshifting and incredible strength, and are shown to be empathetic to certain characters. In the 2001 Oscar-winning animated film Shrek, the lead character is a misunderstood ogre who really just wants to be left alone. Marvelous verdict. When we talk about monsters from popular folklore and tales, we have to remember how these creatures have been captivating our minds for centuries. These monstrous creatures, with their cunning minds, unmatchable strength, and evil hearts, have been terrorizing fantasy worlds since their inception. Monsters like vampires, werewolves, and Bigfoots are certified pop culture icons for their contributions to media and literature. These creatures might be feared and condemned by people for their monstrous acts in fictional stories, but their subtle influence on our culture and everyday life is undeniable. From art to books to paintings to fashion to festivals to shaping our moral strength and character, these fairy tale monsters are stitched into the fabric of society. That's it for today, folks, but we'll be back with more exciting content in our next marvelous video. To keep up with our exciting content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. Let us know your thoughts on these monsters in the comment section down below, and thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.